Hi everyone, my name is Ivan. I've been producing music for quite a long time, probably more over 10 years now. It all started when I was part of a band, and we didn't have enough money to go to recording studios, so we started doing things ourselves, recording music, recording songs, and I've been doing that for about 10 years now, or probably more. And I've always dreamt of documenting the process of producing a record. Now, a whole record may be ambitious, but now in these lockdown times, I decided to document the process of producing a song. Probably I may even extend it to a full EP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a series of videos. I will go from writing a song, arranging, recording, mixing, and mastering, all the way until the song is up in the digital platforms. So in this first video, I'm going to start by talking about my songwriting process. What is my approach? What are my steps? What are different methods that I use? So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's get started. Hello. So there are a couple of approaches that I use when it comes to songwriting. So the first approach is that I start off with a melody or with a musical idea that came to my head at some point. The second approach that we could use is to start off with a lyric and then make music for that lyric. I believe this second approach is a little more difficult, but the benefit is that it will allow you to focus on the message you want to bring, and it will also force you to be a little more creative in order to musicalize that piece of lyric that you have. But for the purpose of this song that we are going to document, we're going to use the first method, which is to start from a musical idea. For the record that I have in mind, that I'm envisioning, I will actually use both methods. I have some lyrics with some very specific messages that I want to deliver, and I will work to make some music work around that. And I also have a lot of music ideas. I've been thinking about this record for a while. As you think about the record, you start getting an idea of how it is going to sound, the type of songs that are going to be part of the record. Particularly in this case, I wanted it to be influenced by the 80s sounds. I want to incorporate synths, which is something new for me, and since it is new for me, it is also unknown, and when you face an unknown challenge, that makes it even more exciting. So I'm excited about that. So for this particular song, we're going to use the first approach, start with the musical idea. So how does it work for me? So basically, the way it works for me is that I every once in a while get a musical idea, it comes to my head, or maybe I'm playing with my guitar and I get this nice musical idea. So what I do is that I will make a voice memo, I will record it, and with time I will have enough ideas to make a bunch of songs. This is the voice memo, the particular voice memo for the song we are going to work on. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so here what we have is a bunch of voice memos that I've made with ideas of songs. I do this all the time. I'm crossing the street and suddenly an idea comes to my mind, so I make a voice memo of it so I don't forget it, and then I just get back to these ideas and listen to them. Sometimes I even try to mimic and imagine what the percussion would sound like. So I have a bunch of ideas here, as you can see. I also use titles for these voice memos so that I'm able to identify them later. Maybe I type if it is a soft or a rock, a very heavy song, or what it sounds like, just to get an idea and be able to find it later. So here I have the voice memo of the song we will be working on during this series of videos, just to show you where it all began. It's just So this is the starting point. That's the first step. The second step for me after getting this idea is to make a scratch song. This is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start playing with my guitar, try to play this particular part that I made of, sing the part, and then start to figure out what else could be along with the song, what would be the music for the verses. Maybe I already have an idea for the verses from another voice memo that I have stored, and then just try to put together the song, writing down some lyrics and so on. When you are songwriting, contrast is usually very pleasant to the ears, and the way it works, just to give you an example, is that you're coming from a slow verse, maybe it doesn't have many instruments, and you get into a chorus, and the chorus, there's a wall of sound, a stereo sound, there's maybe a jump in the intonation of the vocals, and all of that makes contrasts, and it makes the song be more interesting. So this is a concept that I keep in mind when I am writing a song, and I also keep it in mind and envision what the mix would sound like as well, just to get an idea. As I was mentioning, if there is going to be an expansion of the stereo field in the chorus, stuff like that, and if maybe the verse is just going to be vocals and bass, and then we will jump into the chorus with a lot of instruments, with the other instruments. So that type of stuff is what I think about, but it all starts with ideas. So let's get going with this one. What I'm going to do is also pretty rustic. It's not very fancy. I don't think about music theory at this point. All I'm going to do is try to bring down to earth that initial idea that I had in my cell phone. So the vocals of the chorus go something like this. La vida que siempre busqué, la vida que siempre anhelé tener, la vida que siempre busqué es Jesús, solo Él es el Rey del amor. Okay, so that's the vocals, and what I'm gonna do now is try to find what are the chords or the bass notes that would suit to that melody. So I can start with power chords or bass notes. Also, one thing that is very important here at this point is to start thinking about what key is the song going to be at. It is also important to start thinking about the tempo, which is the speed of the song, how fast it is going to be. Just keep those things in mind that are going to be very important later on in the process. So now I'm just gonna try to figure out what the chords could be for this chorus. So I'm just going to fast forward, and I'll see you guys when the music's finished for the chorus. Okay, now, so I've finished. I think I have found a chord progression that would work for the chorus. So let me play it for you guys. La vida que siempre busqué, la vida que siempre anhelé tener, la vida que siempre busqué es Jesús, solo Él es el Rey del amor. Something like that. It is, pretty basic. It is the beginning. The initial idea that I have, it is a draft idea. I could change notes later on. What I'm going to do is actually continue playing it and see if maybe some other notes could fit better to the chorus. So that's basically what I do. But the important thing now is that we have a starting point. We have, that idea is now brought to earth. So we still need write an intro, write the verses, and the bridge. I'll just move on with the verse, and what I'll do with the verses, I could use the approach of just thinking about what music I could use. I could think about maybe using the same chords of the chorus, something like this. I could use the second approach, which is I already have an idea of the words that go in the chorus. I had an idea already of what I wanted to say, so I can just continue and just try to write some verses and then try to make music for those lyrics. What I'm going to do now is just continue to play around with the chorus and see if I get an idea. I will just fast forward until I have something to show you, and I'll let you know what I ended up doing. Okay, so I think I found something for the verse. What I did is I wrote down the chorus, and I started writing ideas about what I wanted to say for the verse. So for example, I have just simple phrases. I searched for you in places where I wasn't supposed to. I had to go around the world to be back home. I lived in the middle of distractions, and phrases that are related to what I want to say in the verse. And it helps me start developing what's going to be the lyrics of the verse. But I also thought about a possible melody and the music for the verse, and it goes something like this. One good thing here with this idea is that it also gave me possibility of including additional notes that would go in what is called the pre-chorus, which is the section that goes between the verse and the chorus. I'll just keep on exploring, writing stuff, playing around with my guitar, and I'll fast forward so you guys can see what's gonna be the end result for the chorus and the verse. Hi everyone! Finally, after just messing around my guitar, playing the song several times, I have arrived to something that I think I like. So far, I have a verse, I have a pre-chorus, I have the chorus, and I have the beginning of a connection between the chorus and the second verse. So as I was playing around with the notes of the verse, I started imagining a melody, and I wrote some phrases that were related to that lyric, and I adjusted the phrases so that they would match the melody. And I ended up having the first verse. While I was doing that, I found some notes that I thought it would be a good transition to a pre-chorus before the final chorus, and I also wrote some lyrics for that. To be honest with you, I had a little frustration while I was doing it, and that is normal. Sometimes you could feel like throwing away your song. And I make a comparison, an analogy. I believe that songwriting could be something similar to mining. So maybe you're mining and you find a gem and you go back and test the gem, but turns out that it is not good, so you throw it away. You have to go back and keep digging until you find this precious jewel that is going to be and make your song nice. What I have seen is that musicians that dig a lot and work in that mine, they usually find awesome gems. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes someone, as soon as they start digging, they can find a gem. But the majority of great musicians and songwriters I know is people that are constantly songwriting, writing songs all the time, lots of songs. I'm talking about probably thousands of songs per year. So if you ever find yourself with digging but you don't find anything, that's normal. Sometimes you leave a song and you just have to throw it away and start over again, and maybe you left it there, and maybe in 1 year you will be able to take it back and restart the process and complete that song. That's something that could happen. That's normal. I'm still having some doubt about what I'm doing, particularly about the key of the song, because the intonation of the verse, of the melody of the verse, is higher than the chorus. I usually preferred it to be the opposite way, but it may work. So I decided to give it a shot and end the song, and maybe we can move on to see how it works. But later on, if it doesn't, I'm able to just change the melody of the verse if I need to. I'll just keep moving. I'm doing this process with you guys, just letting you know the frustrations and challenges that I'm facing. I think I have spent so far about 3 hours on the song, but I had the chorus in my mind for a long time, and I have been able to think about it, maybe conceptualize the song, and that also helps. So I'm just gonna play for you guys what I ended up with, so you can see how far we have gone into this process. Te busqué sin rumbo, sin dirección, sin saber dónde ir, me entregué al placer, sin control y sin satisfacción, pero tú me dejaste a la verdad absoluta, me llevaste la vida real, la vida que siempre busqué, la vida que siempre anhelé tener, la vida que siempre busqué. Es Jesús, solo Él es el Rey del amor. That's it. I'm pretty happy. I like it. But now we have a few challenges ahead. We already have a verse, we have a pre-chorus, we have a chorus, we have a connection between the chorus and the second verse. Now I have to write a second verse. I may use that same melody and rhythm to write the second verse. We also need to come up with an intro. I may have an idea from my voice memos. And we also need the bridge. So that's gonna be quite challenging. Usually for the bridge, I like it to sound very different and using chords that maybe I'm not using in the verse or chorus. That's the way I like doing it. Usually that's a little bit challenging. I don't think that I'm gonna be able to finish that today, but what I will do is I will record what I have in a voice memo and I will listen to it and see if I, get the vibe or a new idea that could work for the bridge and start working on it as well in my guitar. Same thing for the intro. I will listen to what I have, and if it works, if it fits, I'll just try to connect it to what I already have. So that's it. Next step, second verse, then intro and bridge.